morning, Your Excellencies, Deputy Minister Mr. Katsaniotis, Assistant Minister Mr. Gobas, Shokran Lehons Aldiafa, Ambassador Joyce, distinguished guests, panelists and speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, Ahlan wa sahlan, Shokran Lele Marat. Al-Sekaika, Shokran Le Expo Dubai. It is with great pleasure and pride that I welcome you today to this event co-organized by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, the General Secretariat for International Economic Affairs and Openness, the General Secretariat for Greeks Abroad and Public Diplomacy, and the Municipality of Mykonos in the sidelines of the World Expo 2022 in Dubai. Greece welcomes you. Greece, the candle of civilization and democracy, invites you to explore a narrative of light from the early times to our days and towards the future. From Delos, the birthplace of Apollo, god of light, music, and art, to the whole world, through an intercultural opening and connection. Let us be guided by the eternal symbols and ideas that emerged at the dawn of history in the island of Delos. Tolerance, coexistence, philoxenia, openness to the modern crossroad of cultures here in Dubai. So let me give the floor to His Excellency Deputy Minister Mr. Katsaniotis for his introductory speech and the opening of the event. The floor is yours.
Your Excellency, Mr. Ambassador, distinguished speakers, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to be here today in this amazing country and to open this important event. 2021 was a historic milestone, the end of an era, and a challenge for the future, both for Greece and the UAE. At a time when our country was celebrating the 20th anniversary from the Greek Revolution of 1821, the United Arab Emirates celebrated 50 years of its foundation, planning the next 50 years in the light of international cooperation. Since the sign of the joint declaration of the broad strategic partnership between Greece and the EU, as well as the cooperation agreement in the field of foreign policy and defense in every opportunity and in every way. Our countries express move forward, facing the current challenges and taking part in the new security architecture in the region. As in Greece, so in the United Arab Emirates, 2022 marks a restart with a vision for a better future centered on international cooperation itself, highlighting the trust in science, the penetration of technology and innovation in all aspects of everyday life, and mostly the need for cooperation to face global challenges, such as the climate change, aiming to build sustainable and resilient ecosystem for the humanity. The World Expo 2020 provides a unique opportunity to expand a local to a national narrative and further into a global one. We strongly believe you will witness a journey of transformation, highlighting the identity of modern Greece going through as metamorphosis process at the crossroad at science and art. Light has been the inspiration for both our Nobel awarded poets, Elitis and Seferis. Light is necessary for the existence of life itself. See, photosynthesis. Through scientific breakthroughs in which Arabs were pioneers and their various applications on light technology, it was transformed everything: economy, medicine, communication, and the dissemination of information, entertainment, culture, promoting sustainable development and increasing social health and well-being. The connection of science and art warms our soul. In the Greek language, there are several words that one can use to say that he is having a good time. For example, he may say diaskedazo, which means to evade sadness, fear. He can also say psychagogoume, which means to bring my soul to a higher state through intellectual or artistic activities. The event belongs to the second case. People are always turning towards the light, always searching for the light to find their way, either literally or metamorphotical. The island of Delos, which emerged for this birth of Apollo, the god of light of the ancient Greeks, is full of symbolism about the human relationship with light and the brighter side of human nature. On this island, Apollo's mother leaned on a palm tree to give birth, and as the poet says, everything around turned golden. Through the enlightening talks and the panel discussions we are going to attend, we aim to explore and expand the diachronic symbolism of Delos, a sacred place for so many centuries, to talk about its cosmopolitan atmosphere, now inherited by cosmopolitan Mykonos, a world-class brand name in tourism, its social and religious tolerance, the acceptance of the other, and the prosperity triggered by the harmonious coexistence of civilizations, and connect the dots of this powerful storytelling with the world and the future. I would like to thank the co-organizers and contributors to this event and wish you all to enjoy the forthcoming session. Thank you.
And now, I invite His Excellency Omar Saif Gobas, who is Assistant Minister for Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, for Cultural Affairs and Public Diplomacy. Please, Mr. Gobas.
Great. Thank you very much. It's really a great honor to be here today. I'm told that my speech will arrive in about 2 minutes, so if we could just wait patiently. No, so inevitably, I'm going to have to speak from the heart instead of from a text. I believe I'm the second person up there. This photo was taken in the beginning of January 2017 when Trump had just, I think it was taken office or had won. So I have an orange, the color photo is, I have a very orange suntan, and I was like playing the political field. So, but please discard that photo. Please don't use it again. I don't look like that anymore. I noticed, so this is about light. We have a different experience of light. We have a burning sun, and we're trying desperately to reverse climate change so that we can have better summers here. So, yeah, it's all a question of perspective. I think we've noticed over the last few years a kind of a flourishing of the relationship between Greece and the United Arab Emirates, and I think for people like me, it's just going to be a distraction now. Thank you very much. It has been really remarkable, but it comes in kind of line with a number of changes that the United Arab Emirates has made. We've traditionally had set partners, set economic partners, political partners, and sort of cultural partners. Mostly that's been focused on the UK, France, and the United States. And I think going back a few years, I suppose it's political uncertainty, a recognition of kind of a very tense moments in Western democracy, we decided that we need to actually widen our set of friendships and go beyond the conventional ones. And Greece was one of those countries that we decided that we needed to develop a relationship with. And I know from my own personal experience, I visited Greece with His Highness Sheikh Abdullah, the foreign minister, last summer, and yeah, the relationship is really very, very strong. We've spoken just now about the possibility of cooperation in science. Under my office, we actually coordinate all science and technology between the various ministries in the Emirates and outside partners. So you've come to the right place today, and our science and technology man is right up there at the top, so we'll introduce you to him. When it comes to culture, one of the things that really struck me is that in my own personal experience, my exposure to ancient Greek philosophy, I know you have modern philosophy in the form of Mr. Varoufakis, but we're still focused very much on understanding the ancient Greek philosophy. There is something fascinating about the way in which the Arab world and the Muslim world looks at Greek philosophy, and I think it's very relevant for today. We take great pride in the fact that, well, maybe it's a disputed fact, but in the idea that we Arabs preserved Greek philosophy and then we handed it over to the Europeans again, and then the European civilization was built on that. What we forget is that actually, you know, in holding on to it, we could have also benefited from Greek philosophy ourselves. And I wonder why it is that we are so proud that we handed over the benefit of Greek philosophy to others but didn't do it ourselves. And so over the years, I spent a lot of time trying to track down Greek philosophy in Arabic. And I remember it took me 5 weeks of very, very hard work with a team to find that Plato's works had been translated in Syria. And it took me 5 weeks to actually track it down and then receive them. It would be a fantastic move, I think, between Greece and the United Arab Emirates if we could produce these works again and you know, to actually do a series covering the broad range of Greek philosophy. That would at least allow us to understand the true impact and see how it influences Western thought today. I've also been to Mykonos many, many times, and I'm hoping to visit Delos, which is right opposite Mykonos, I believe, right? Yes, I've seen it, yeah. And that's what I have to say, so thank you very much. Yeah? Thank you.
And now I invite Mr. Ioannis Mirlis, who is Secretary General for International Economic Affairs and Chairman of Enterprise Greece, a General Commissioner of Greece in World Expo 2020. For his opening remarks, Mr. Mirlis.
Your Excellencies, dear Mr. Katsaniotis, dear Mr. Kovas, dear Ambassador, dear Mayor of Mykonos, distinguished guests, dear friends. As General Commissioner of Greece in Dubai Expo 2020, it's my great honor and pleasure to welcome you all in the Greek Pavilion and this great Expo. Under the theme Connecting Minds, Creating the Future, Expo Dubai 2020 is the largest event ever organized in an Arab country. This theme fully reflects the vision of Greece for the future and constitutes a clear evidence of the new extrovert phase that our country wishes to have. Greece participates in the exhibition with a national pavilion located in a privileged position close to the Dome Al-Wasl, the central architectural element of the exhibition, under the motto, Greece Tomorrow Today, creating the future out of our present and not our past. Greece Tomorrow Today is a key message that spreads the word that Greece is already heading towards a new era with confidence and optimism. This message is delivered through the famous myth of Theseus and Minotaur. According to the legend, Ariadne, the daughter of King Minos of Crete, gave Theseus, prince of Athens, a ball of thread that guided him to get out of the Cretan labyrinth. Inspired by this myth, the Greek pavilion bridges the past, the present, and the future. Visitors are invited to untie the thread and find their way towards the dynamic future of Greece by exploring the 8 strategically selected thematic pillars of action: health, agri-food, technology, industry, energy, shipping, human capital, tourism, and culture. The Greek Pavilion conveys our narrative through a beam of light, combined with exciting audiovisual content and interactive stations accompanied by various interactive experiences. We are very thrilled to announce that up to this moment, our pavilion has received more than 300,015 visitors. Under the slogan, A Universal Narrative of Light, today's event is totally harmonized with our pavilion's perspective. The symbolism of Delos, as economic and cultural cradle, underlines the potential through art and science and highlights Greece's vision towards a brighter future. Through its participation in Dubai's Expo 2020, Greece seeks to re-establish itself in the international community, to reposition itself as a country that provides investment opportunities and business incentives. Greece is evolving, innovating, transforming. Greece paves the way. Welcome again to Dubai Expo 2020.
And now I invite Mr. Konstantinos Koukas, the mayor of Mykonos, in Greece, for his opening remarks.
Your Excellencies, Ministers from Greece and United Arab Emirates, Secretary Generals, and Your Excellency Ambassador Mr. Zois. Ladies and gentlemen, representing the Municipal Authority of Mykonos, I'm proud and honored to be co-organizing this event in the framework of World Expo 2020, together with the Hellenic Ministry of Foreign Affairs. I'm delighted to help unfold a universal narrative of light, from Apollo's birthplace, Delos, to a brighter future, here in multicultural city of Dubai, and contribute to a new narrative about my country, Greece, through the mythology of Delos, the history of Delos, an island that belongs in the Mykonos Island complex, and of course, the worldwide reputation of Mykonos as a top tourist destination. So, our narrative starts in Delos, an island designated as a World Heritage Site by UNESCO. Delos, the largest outdoor archaeological site in Greece, a few miles away from Mykonos. Delos is located at the heart of the Aegean Sea, the center of the Cyclades. Kyklos is a Greek word for circle. As a result, the islands, which are located in a circle around Delos, are called Cyclades. Delos combines strong historical elements, as it used to be a melting pot of different cultures over the centuries. In Greek mythology, as it was already mentioned, it was the birthplace of Apollo and Artemis. Apollo, god of light and harmony, protector of fine arts and eternal teenager, and Artemis, goddess of wild animals and hunting. It is said that Delos is the sunniest spot in the whole Mediterranean. These unique elements mark Delos as an eternal symbol of Greek culture, creativity and inspiration, synonymous to light. And as light is life, it symbolizes the power of imagination and the optimistic outlook to the future. Hence, Delos, apart from being the cradle of gods, also emerged as a place of peaceful coexistence of people of different cultures and religions from the Mediterranean basin and beyond. The light of the Aegean Sea cultivated a unique culture. Light, as life itself, empowers the human ability to communicate and make progress. At the center of the Aegean Sea, the element that has remained strong and defining from antiquity until today is light. Light, which gave birth to Apollo, god of light, in Delos. Light, which created the global mythos of the Greek summer. Light, which shaped Cycladic cuisine, sun-dried food cooked solely by the power of the sun and the wind is typical in our region. Light, which defines the granite rocks dominating the landscape. Light, which characterized the dry stone Cycladic architecture. Small houses operate like containers of life and give protection from the sun and heat. Light that inspires writers, scientists, and artists, but also millions of visitors who travel to experience the Greek summer. A new narrative for the Delos, Mykonos Island Complex. In the last centuries, the Delos Mykonos complex has turned into a global brand in tourism, a point of reference for modern narratives in hospitality and culture coexistence, a location enjoying worldwide recognition. Mykonos, as it was mentioned, has inherited the cosmopolitan character of Delos, its elements of tolerance and freedom. Nowadays, Mykonos Island enjoys a worldwide reputation, appealing to young people, business investors, and visitors of high economic profile who require quality services, offering the scenery for a myth that everyone wants to live in. At the same time, Mykonos strives to enhance its symbolic relationship with Delos, aiming to somehow rectify the discontinuity of the past and keep the light of Delos vibrant and strong. Ladies and gentlemen, light in the Cyclades, same as the sea that surrounds us, are elements of a place that curated a culture with open horizons. And it is this culture that needs communication, elaboration, and exchange. These are powerful factors that created the multicultural society of Delos in antiquity and can help develop resilient and open societies today. Factors that we are challenged to take advantage of in the new era of communication that is swiftly emerging around us. Our municipality will support and engage in every effort towards global narratives inspired by the light of Delos, especially those that connect science, art, creativity, and look forward to a better world. We also propose the launch in Mykonos of a global annual forum on sustainable tourism and the culture of light. This international forum will aim at generating an exchange platform at the intersection of tourism, art, science, culture, and above all, light. Light as a factor of culture and coexistence. We look forward to implementing this goal with your cooperation. At this point, before bidding you farewell, please allow me to thank, on behalf of the municipality of Mykonos and myself personally, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and its political administration for co-organizing this event and for incorporating it in the Enterprise Greece Pavilion. Also, our sincere thanks to all the contributors and speakers who traveled to be here with us today and share their passion and understanding of our common homeland, Greece, and in particular Delos. Moreover, we are grateful to Mrs. Dora Farmaki and Mr. Vangelis Pelekis for having conceived and visualized this project, which is being presented here today, with the kind support of the Mondero Group of Enterprises and Mr. Petros Stathis. Last but not least, we extend our warmest thanks to all of you who shared this presentation, whether in actual presence or through digital participation. Let Mykonos be our next meeting place. Thank you very much.
Let's go now to the first session, which is shaping a universal narrative of light. For this session, let us start by following the path of light. Let us check how it is shaped in a universal narrative that concerns the whole world. Our first speaker is Mrs. Eleftheria Deco, could be named the light ambassador of our country due to her work at the Olympic Games 2004 and the lighting design for Acropolis of Athens. Emmy-winning light designer Eleftheria Deco has designed the lighting for more than 450 performances since 1990, for theater, music, dance, opera, for public events, multimedia shows, exhibitions, as well as art installations in Greece and abroad, for which she has got great reviews and has been awarded prizes and honors for her work. A significant moment of her career has been her collaboration at the Athens 2004 Olympic Games opening and closing ceremonies as a lighting designer and lighting director, for which she was awarded the International Emmy Award for Outstanding Lighting Direction at the 57th ceremony of Emmy Awards. Recently, she completed the new lighting of the Acropolis of Athens and its 17 monuments, which received a worldwide recognition. Mrs. Deco, please.
It's me. Although it's written my speech, I will read my speech. Actually, it's from my heart. And it is not PowerPoint, it's videotape, so I have to be on time. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. To begin with, please allow me the opportunity to thank the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, Mr. Katsaniotis, the Mayor of Mykonos, Mr. Koukas, as well as Mrs. Dora Farmaki, for the invitation and honor to be here today amongst all of you to share my personal narrative of light. When I read the title of our meeting, I smiled because I thought that the choice of Apollo as the epicenter of our discussion today is more than targeted and timely. Apollo is the god of light and sun, of music and poetry, also the god of healing and purification. It seems as if we invited him among us today as the expert in this passage to what we are all longing for, the post-COVID era. A passage that we can only go through creativity, art, the personal seek of truth, the resistance to ignorance, to separation and misery. I could speak about Apollo for hours, but I'm not the most qualified person to do so. So I would rather to speak about our journey, my team's and myself's journey of the lighting of the Acropolis and its 17 monuments. A journey from and towards the universal. A journey from the light of the civilization to the civilization of light. Acropolis is the monument symbol of Greece and also the symbol of democracy, philosophy, and art, not only for Greeks, but for the whole world. A true instance where the personal becomes universal. The connecting elements that allow the symbolism of a monument to become universal and to share its truth to the world are many, but the strongest of all, I believe, is the incorporeal, yet most profound, light. Worth mentioning here that all religions and civilization on earth have a god or a deity dedicated to light, whether it is the sun or the moon. We mentioned before that Apollo is the Greek god of light. Also, god Ra, the Egyptian god of the moon day, sun. Arjuna, if I pronounce it well, it's a Hindu god of the morning sun, while Aurora, the goddess of dawn for Romans. I'll announce the Celtic god of the sun and healing, while Inti, the god of sun for the Incas. Guarachi, a Brazilian sun god, and Malakbel, the god of sun in the Arabian mythology, just to mention a few. Worshipping of light was universal and existed in all civilization. Also in philosophy, the arts, literature, poetry, light is and has been a universal language that connects us all. The Greek philosopher Socrates talked about the light as the child of goodness, proposing that as the sunlight illuminates and gives the eye the ability to see, so the ideal of goodness illumines the intelligible with truth. Socrates values light equally as goodness, giving it a spiritual character. Plato, on the other hand, believed that the eyes project rays of light, illuminating everything in front of them. When something blocked these eyes, the result was darkness. Besides his physical interpretation of light and seeing in his allegory of the cave, Plato represents light with truth, and he believed that education is a prerequisite to see truth. Philosophers and non-philosophers, we all have our personal theory of light within many common and general beliefs. Light is the source of life on earth. It is the way to see and be seen. Light is a tool and a way of expression in architecture, in the arts, in physics, in medicine. Light is the candle of our prayer, the fire that warms us up, the firefly at the fields, the moonlit way on the sea, the sun ray that sneaks in a dark cave through a small crack. Light is the sunset on Mykonos, the sunrise at Machu Picchu, the noon sun over the desert. It's the silver, shiny skin on Burj Al Khalifa. Light is the sparkle on the eyes of our beloved ones, the aura of the saint, the rainbow after the rain, the reflections of the white marble. Light is the fiery breath of a volcano, the aurora borealis of North Pole. Light has a dual personality. It is wave and particle. It is both an electromagnetic wave and a photon. It is white and at the same time is all the colors of the spectrum. It is visible and invisible. We humans, we are made also of light. A tiny small portion, as Alexander Pope measured it, so tiny as a candle seen from 20 kilometers, he measured it. Light can be measured, but it is also unmeasurable. Light is an idea, a sensation, a thought, a feeling. Light is a way of seeing not only the obvious, but also the precious and hidden. Light is, paraphrasing Plato, the shadow of God. Everybody, I believe, can give their own interpretation on this. Everybody has a personal understanding on this. But don't we all agree that light connects us through a non-verbal communication, through a transparent connection and understanding of our common and universal values that we all share and agree upon? During the lighting process of the Acropolis, we could not but consider all these interpretations, theories, and mostly the connection of light with truth. All these philosophical thoughts about light, we had to apply on it, on the monument, using artificial lighting, using fixtures. From the very beginning, we knew that this was not a job, it was a journey. A personal growth journey that more than anything else made us dive into our ancestors' history and civilization and regenerate our connection with them. Our intention was not to just arrange the proper lighting fixtures on the right positions, but to dust away the memories, to clear the glasses through which we see the monument, to highlight its whiteness as spiritual purity, as historical truth, as a masterpiece of architecture and art, as the symbol of an era that was called Golden Age. Instead of imposing our dry technical knowledge of lighting design, we paused and listened to the monument's needs. Because the monument did whisper to us its needs. We felt that we should become tabula rasa and almost forget what we knew in order to draw out new routes on our arts and sciences map. We did study the materiality of the sculptures, the temples, their form and structure, together with the history of that era, in order to highlight the monument with the aesthetics that it deserves. The narrative of the Acropolis didn't change because of the lighting. For centuries, it narrates the history of the Greek civilization, its trajectory and dynamic, the power of spirit and the greatness of art. For centuries, standing alone, it reminds us if we are willing to remember. It awakens us if we are willing to be awakened. It teaches us if we are willing to learn and grow. The new lighting didn't change the narrative of the Acropolis, but it empowered its voice. It made it more loud. It strengthened the bridge that links the significant power of our ancient civilization with our present, and it broadcasts its message to the future. All monuments, ancient or contemporary, religious centers or important architectural buildings speak their story, speak out their truth of the era they were created. An arch, a temple, a museum or a bridge, a grand hotel or a national airport, all of them are interesting and important as beacons of the past, present, and future. Anyway, the today buildings or monuments will be ancient in few centuries from now. So in the history of humankind, these sparks of civilization, of human creation in every part of the world, all of them say a story to the present and to our successors. Whether we illuminate them with artificial light to be seen at night, or we just let them unlit to be bathed only by the sunlight, the monuments do whisper their story. It is up to us to pause and listen. The lighting designers will have a great responsibility to the buildings and monuments if we are called to create their lighting. Their night dress, I should say, this transparent garment that appears after sunset in a way, and in a way it wants to beacon the minderers of the night to pay attention to them. Whether they stop to observe and admire it or only give an unconscious glimpse, this interaction with a monument leaves to people a slight sensation, like a scent, a fine touch, or a feeling. Respecting also the dark sky issue, a lighting designer has to create an elegant design, appropriate to the monument, to the building, and its surroundings. Having in mind the principles of measure and moderation, the virtue of modesty and self-discipline, of staying firm in one's vision aesthetics, a lighting designer presents and underlines the night personality of a building. Light bridges the past with the future by allowing the sensation to travel downstream. The history of artificial lighting, and I'm not taking much longer, goes back to time. torch lights of the antiquity have been replaced by gas lighting, then by electrical lamps and spotlights. Even later, the artificial lighting became from static to color changing and moving, and very soon after it was empowered by LEDs and laser beams, and reaching the present, artificial lighting travels with drones and gigantic projections as if, actually, to send a message, to impress, to beautify, to create awe, or simply. The technological evolution of the science, of the light science, thrives in our days, and it seems that desperately wants to reach even higher the sky, to go further, more and beyond. But is it that by this great enthusiasm that we are forgetting something behind? The profound and simple truth that the inner light is the most important? Our inner light. It is the one that is the same no matter the technological evolution, the one that whispers through the centuries from the hearts of our ancestors to our hearts and to our children's. On September 2020, the new lighting of the Acropolis was on. We wished that this lighting, or through the lighting, that the beauty and wisdom of the past to stream down to our present and to our future. I would like to share with you before closing this short video that was made by the Onassis Foundation about the launch event of the Acropolis and its 17 monuments. So, can we please show the short video? Just this. closing. Just closing, I would like to say that if we really envision a brighter future, search for the flame we all have inside us, and let's not allow anything to burn it out. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As moderator, I'd be very pleased if for the next three speakers to keep the 4 minutes each one. So our second speaker is Mr. Yannis Ioannidis, Professor of Informatics and Telecommunications at the National Kapodistrian University of Athens and ex-president of the Athena Research Center. He is member of the Academy of Europe, member and ex-vice president of the Executive Board of the European Strategy Forum for Research Infrastructure, and he is software director of the Human Brain Project, the European flagship initiative on neuroscience and digital technologies. Mr. Ioannidis, please, 4 minutes.
Thank you very much. Since these presentations are set, it's very hard to cut them. We'll cut on the panel, General Secretary. We'll figure it out so that we finish on time. Your Excellencies, dear Ministers, dear General Secretary, dear Mayor, thank you very much for having me here. And I will try to give my own narrative of light. Cannot see now. Here. Salam. What is your name, my friend? Ibrahim. And yours? Aristocles. Where are you from? Dubai. Dubai? What is this? The center of the world. Strange. I thought my island is the center of the world. Where are you from? Delos. Never heard of it. What do you do there for a living? I'm a merchant. Delos is a major commercial port. Dubai is too. Do you make good money? You should see my house to understand. State of the art. Mine too. In which god do you believe? In Delos we worship many gods and goddesses, but our patron is Apollo, the sun, the god of light. God of light, interesting idea. Yes, Delos and light are intimately connected. Delos takes its name from the verb delo, to show, to reveal, to shed light. It is in the middle of Greece, bathed in the light of the Aegean Sea. Apollo and his sister Artemis were born in Delos, and the island was flooded of light. Yes, now I remember. I know Apollo and Artemis. NASA has named its missions to the moon after them. And it's not just Delos. Ancient Greek culture has an eternal relationship with light. Inner, intangible, spiritual, creative light. But also external, tangible, natural light. Art cannot be conceived without light caressing it. Look how the Cycladic figurines breathe in light, or how light plays between Parthenon's pillars. Yes, through Leonardo's art, light emerges also as scientific knowledge while still maintaining its charming mystery. Light is not just about art, light is all about science also. For example, the laser is the device that emits light. Light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. Laser. Laser? Yes, the ability to harness light in a laser has revolutionized the way we live and work. Data communication, manufacturing, surgery, printers, self-driving technology, and spectacular laser light displays. Now it's stuck. And then we have Sesame, synchrotron light for experimental science and applications in the Middle East. A third-generation synchrotron light source in Jordan. First such light source in the Middle East, and the region's first major international center of excellence. What? We have so much in common. I mean, in Delos, we embrace every religion and every ethnicity, and yes, Dubai is also a multicultural, multi-ethnic society. Yet you seem to be coming from another time, another world. How could we even be talking to each other? This is, I don't know about universal, but this is my attempt to have a narrative of light. Shedding light on light itself. We bring fact and fiction, and we do storytelling. And this is an attempt to come up with a narration of light by just PowerPoint, created by a computer scientist. Imagine what we do when we have the full power of technology, virtual reality, augmented reality, gaming, personalization, 3D sound, and a whole bunch of other on web, mobile platforms, special devices combined with narration. We get digital storytelling and interactive narrative experiences. And if you look at it, it's a new form of art. Not the kind of art that we enjoyed from Eleftheria Deco. I mean, her presentation was itself a piece of art, proving that she's not just an artist of light, but also an artist of word. Different kind of creators, different kind of, a different form of art is what we have here by creating common story threads, shedding light on the past, not just on light, but anything that we want. And we can figure out stories behind history the way we know it. Humans behind the monuments. Who built it? Who used it? Groups of people not in the spotlight. Hidden or dark aspects of history, details that would otherwise remain unseen, but also obstacles and prejudice. Or we can have shed light on imaginary features, bringing fiction and fact together, a new form of art. Interdisciplinary creation, you need those that know the content, historians, museologists, archaeologists. You need creators, true artists, and you need us, poor technologists, to make the means available. And the stories have roles, actors, scripts, staging, everything that you can imagine. And all this has been successfully evaluated in museums and sites around the world, mostly in Greece, of course, the Acropolis Museum, Space Museum in Toulouse, Minster and York in the UK, Amsterdam, Ancient Agora in Greece, Çatalhöyük in Turkey as well. We bring in the historical contextualization, the content, with a perspective taking, the creation, and then bringing an affective connection. And when you bring these two together, you have historical empathy. And by focusing on historical, you get engaged with history through the story. And when you have historical empathy, you get the inner light that Eleftheria wanted. This is me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor. May I now invite Mrs. Nujum Al-Ghanem to take the floor. Mrs. Al-Ghanem is a poet, artist, scriptwriter, and award-winning director from the United Arab Emirates. She has published 8 poetry collections and has directed more than 20 films. She is a recipient of the Pride of the United Arab Emirates Medal through the Mohammed bin Rashid Government Excellence Award in 2018. She directed and produced several short fictions and feature documentaries. We invite Nujum Al-Ghanem to recite the 3 first chapters of her poem, I Found My Way to You.
Good morning. Thank you for having me here today. I wrote this poem in Arabic, and it is translated, so I'm going to read it in English today because This is the only way that can reach you. I found my way to you. For 1,001 years, we have stood here on this edge, or perhaps on a terrace known as the Mountain of Stories, where one night we lifted our gazes, searching the darkness for the shadows of the stars. The darkness might have lowered the chandelier of the Pleiades, or granted us a full moon, rather than hiding it away for 1,001 years. 1,000 years more, and then the rain poured down, heavy and incessant, until it filled the clouds with holes and cleansed the sands for 36 bundles of days. Canopus slipped from its hiding place with its resting light. The first sign of it was the chill in the air. We were fated to follow its astrolabe, while its fate was to become the guardian star of our flora. Second part. And for 101 years, amidst the tremors of late summer heat and the yellowing of the horizon, the edges of leaves blazed on the trees like offerings to the autumn. Somewhere in these ravines, the desert rose on the shoulders of the wind, and only then did a woman race out from among the hills and swallow the moon. She became the seer of unwritable poems and the voice of wilderness. She taught hearts how to fall in love without breaking or becoming stirred by passion. Third part. You must believe the stories, the ones that make no claim to truth but cannot bear lies. Like those Shahrazad told, you must believe the marks made by the tears of the meteors on the silence of the evening, and the ringing sound of water's heart when the reflected blueness of the Southern Cross leans over its skin. You must believe the poets when they allege that light is like water, like a river, and when they swear that many dreams are hidden there in the sky like bird nests. Thank you so much.
Professor Peter Frankopan could not be with us today, but you are going to watch a video message he has sent to us. Mr. Frankopan is a lifelong Philhellene and author of the book Silk Roads. He is professor also of global history at Oxford University.
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished friends, my name is Peter Frankopan. I am Professor of Global History at Oxford University and a lifelong Philhellene. I'm so honoured and delighted to have been asked to take part in this event to celebrate the Pavilion of the Hellenic Republic at Expo 2020 in Dubai, and in particular to mark the universal narrative of light from Apollo's birthplace to a brighter future. I'm so sorry that I can't be with you in person. Unfortunately, other commitments are keeping me away, but I send everybody listening my very warmest greetings. I'm sorry too that I can't see the metamorphosis of Efi Spirou in person. No matter how glorious the photos, I know how important it is to appreciate and see art with one's own eyes. So I do hope I have a chance to come out to the UAE to stand in front of what seems to be such an interesting and important creation, and also one that is so appropriate. If I had been with you in person, I had of course said just how fitting it was for the Greek pavilion to choose Delos as a theme for Expo 2020. As so many know, Greece's rich history provides any number of suitable topics, themes or locations to illustrate the extraordinary past of the Hellenic peoples going back millennia. For this occasion, though, I think it's hard to think of a better mirror to look into than that of Delos to mark the past, the present and the future. After all, Delos has many parallels with the UAE. According to the Homeric legends, Delos was an unpromising location floating in the Aegean, the place of birth for Apollo and Artemis, because the land elsewhere refused to allow these famous children of Zeus to be born. This beating of the ecological odds has an obvious parallel with the Gulf and its rise in recent decades. Delos not only became an important economic, social and political powerhouse in the Aegean, but was also a religious centre par excellence too, home to cults, not only to devotees of Apollo in particular, but also home to the first synagogue in the Mediterranean outside Judea. It was a meeting place between East and West, and also between North and South, and the powerful and the important kept their eyes closely on it, because Delos became significant in its own right, home to rich merchants from 3 continents. It linked to trade networks in mainland Greece and the Cyclades, of course, but also to North Africa and to Egypt, to the Levant and to the Middle East and to Asia. If that cosmopolitanism reminds of the UAE, then so too does the fact that Delos attracted inhabitants from near and far. So many, in fact, that the Delians had to import food from distance, something that was helped by the fact that as a destination for pilgrims and traders, it generated great wealth, as is clear from the magnificent houses that can still be visited on the island today that would, I think, make for outstanding dinner parties to discuss global affairs of the past, present and the future. Delos was proud of its history and of its culture, and it was very successful in being able to hold off the interests of powerful neighbours, even if there were occasional setbacks. Athens, in particular, cast an eye over Delos's great treasuries and built the Parthenon to house the proceeds. But even so, as Delos's history shows, recovery was quick and also long-lasting, with the island enjoying more than a millennium of good fortune. And as a historian, I can promise you that such cases are highly unusual. So it's a great pleasure and an honour to be part of the delegation of the Hellenic Republic to celebrate Delos in particular, its role as a trade centre, as a beacon of light, and as a global leader at Expo 2020 in Dubai. I'm extremely grateful to Deputy Foreign Minister Andreas Katsaniotis, to his assistant Dora Famaki, and to the Master of Ceremonies Yannis Chrysoulakis for inviting me to take part. And of course, to all of the organising team in the UAE. I do hope to see you very soon, either in Dubai, in Delos, or perhaps somewhere in between.
And now we proceed to the second session, which is Science Art. We are about to examine what is the energy and the power that makes us move forward, the source of progress, and I would interpret that as the chase of light. So I invite the 2 moderators, please, Mr. Yannis Ioannidis and Nuzum Alghanem, and also the speakers, Dimitrios Athanasoulis, Effie Spirou has sent us a video message, Shireen Atasi, and Ali Bouzuri. Please. You have 28 minutes. 30, let's make it 30. So.
Thank you very much. Whoever speaks, they can remove the... it's a great pleasure for me to present Dr. Dimitris Athanasoulis, who is the director of the Effort of Antiquities of the Cyclades, where Mykonos and Delos are part of, and many other amazing islands. He has a PhD in Byzantine archaeology, Aristotle University of Thessaloniki and Université Paris 1, Panthéon Sorbonne. He's also a member of the scientific committee of the Parco Archeologico di Pompei in Italy, the European Center of Byzantine and Post-Byzantine Monuments, as well as the Christian Archaeological Society. We could easily go over than 20 minutes if I continue describing all his accolades, but I will stop here, and I will ask Dimitris Athanasoulis to give us his view and take us to a journey. Yeah, whatever you want, there or here, it's up to you.
Your Excellencies, Assistant Minister, Deputy Minister, Mayor of Mykonos, Ambassador, and distinguished guests, we may start with a video of an exhibition in Delos.
I started with this idea, can we have outlookers? Can we have these sentinels that actually in the light like this you read as silhouettes, as almost black holes in human form that indicate a human presence in space, but in some senses identify a subjective, particular body in time that could also be anybody. And that idea of making a new relation between the universal and the subjective, between the intimate and the general, I think that was my first step. Let's engage with the geology of the island, engage with its position in relation to its neighborly islands, and think about time, space, and the development of human consciousness.
Αυτή η κοινή προσπάθεια που έγινε από τους αρχαιολόγους, από την ομάδα του Νέων, από το ΚΑΣ το ίδιο που το ενέκρινε, είναι ένα από αυτά τα πράγματα που πρέπει να κάνουμε πια σε αυτόν τον τόπο, που δεν μπορεί πια να είναι μόνο ένας τόπος προορισμού για να δουν το αρχαίο κλέος μας, αλλά ένας τόπος προορισμού για να βλέπουν την ανησυχία μας την τωρινή, τη ζωντάνια και την να μείνουμε επίκαιροι σε αυτόν τον κόσμο.
Νομίζω ότι η επιλογή του Άντονι Γκόρμλι για να δημιουργήσει μια εικαστική εγκατάσταση στο νησί της Δήλου ήταν ιδιαίτερα επιτυχής. Γιατί ουσιαστικά αυτό το οποίο θέλαμε και φαίνεται να πετυχαίνει η εικαστική έκθεση, η εγκατάσταση, είναι να μην χρησιμοποιήσουμε τα αρχαία σαν ένα φόντο, σαν ένα περιβάλλον μέσα στο οποίο θα βάλει τα έργα του ένας σύγχρονος καλλιτέχνης. Ο στόχος μας ήταν να δημιουργήσουμε τις προϋποθέσεις που θα μπορέσει ο σύγχρονος επισκέπτης να προσλάβει τον αρχαιολογικό χώρο με έναν νέο τρόπο.
This collaboration between the private and the public sector is a civic and public necessity. It is the way forward in order for all of us to reach out to a wide range of audiences, to think about our past, link it with the present, and consider the future.
Now you have a glimpse of the island of Delos and its archaeological site. I would like to thank the organizers for their invitation to participate in this event, and I would also like to congratulate them on their initiative, since this event gives us the opportunity to present an iconic landmark of Greece in a global center like Dubai is today, and within the context of Expo 2020 exhibition. Thank you, Minister Katsaniotis, Mayor Koukas, and Dora Farmaki, who inspired this event. Delos is a small uninhabited island of Cycladic archipelago in the center of the Aegean Sea. The entire island is an archaeological site included in UNESCO's list of World Heritage Monuments. The ancient ruins are part of a unique and unspoiled landscape, bathed in the sun of the Aegean. It is not by coincidence that, according to ancient Greeks, Apollo, the god of light, was born there, as was his sister Artemis. By virtue of its pivotal position in the center of the Aegean, between Europe and Asia, and along Mediterranean maritime routes, this small strip of land was already inhabited from 3rd millennium BC. One of the ancient Greeks' most important sanctuaries was built there. Later, Delos became the seat of the Imperium of Athenian democracy. During the following centuries, in the unified world of the Hellenistic oikoumeny, created after Alexander's campaign, Delos was transformed into a wealthy commercial port and urban center. Thus, on an island with almost no natural resources, there arose a major city with residents from the entire known world. Greeks from all cities, Italians, Egyptians, Syrians, Palestinians, Phoenicians, and Jews settled on the island and created a multicultural community participating in the activities of this hub of international commerce. It is not hard to recognize the analogies with contemporary Dubai or with the Expo 2020 exhibition being organized here. Delos, its multi-level significance in the ancient world, faded away sometime in the Middle Ages, in the 7th or 8th century AD. The island's cultural and cognitive reserves gradually disappeared, as they did not serve the new needs of middle-aged communities, which hastened to regroup as collectivities through new imaginary ties. Engravings of Arabic inscriptions and Byzantine crosses on the ancient monuments confirm that the impressive ruin was then a temporary refuge for the fleets of the two hegemonies, which competed in the medieval Mediterranean, the Arabs from the Muslim Caliphate and the Greeks from the Christian Empire of Constantinople. During the 19th century, in order to compose the story of Western civilization, modernity seeks its foundations in the past, which for the first time is being scientifically researched. Thus, archaeology is born as science, and Delos becomes one of the extended archaeological sites opened in iconic places of classical civilization. Almost 2 centuries of archaeological excavations there unearthed famous artifacts as well as large sections of the city. The exceptional state of preservation of the monuments, the excellent quality of the constructions, the heavy historical burden of the island, and the distinctive, unspoiled, cycladic natural landscape form a unique, captivating composition. On boarding the boat to Delos, the visitor moves not only through space, but also through time, as he arrives at a place where time stands still. In other words, the visitor goes through a herotopic experience, which is vividly etched in his memory, regardless on the extent to which he is aware of the cognitive content of the ancient monuments. It is therefore our goal to invest in this experience, so the visitor leaves Delos having gained both knowledge and aesthetic
pleasure. Bearing in mind all the above, we have prepared a plan for the complete rehabilitation of the archaeological site. The long-term plan involves highlighting the unique composition of the ancient ruins with the unspoiled Cycladic landscape. In order for the visitor to directly grasp the value of the monuments, we have planned the implementation of an extensive enhancement program which involves restoring large sections of the original form of the buildings with their genuine building materials. As part of investing in the enhancement of this unique combination of cultural and natural environments, our long-term plan provides for the gradual assimilation of every modern construction in the Delian landscape. All that we have briefly described above aims at the visitor's heterotopic experience. In other words, his transfer to another space-time dimension. However, just as our view for the past changes rapidly as the world is evolving in the 21st century, our relationship with the monuments is dynamic and volatile. Why should the visitor of the cosmopolitan island of Mykonos leave the island's popular beaches and clubs to tour Delos? How many are attracted by this journey back in time? Delos was unearthed when there was a need to forge identities for Western civilization and for the Greek nation. Today, our relationship with the past is much more complex, and the past is constantly revealing to us new, fascinating aspects. Monuments contain a multitude of values and knowledge that may interest today's visitors in an unexpected way. Thus, while our interventions on the site aim at its heterotopic dimension, our parallel actions attempt to strengthen the ties of the modern community to the ancient past, to open up new channels of communication. In this context, it is our conscious choice to be inclusive by fostering collaboration with stakeholders such as the local authorities, collectivities, civil society, and the private sector. The municipality of Mykonos funds and participates actively in the work of Delos. We consider that the two fields encompassed by our event today, art and science, comprise ideal conductors for connecting ancient Delos with our times. Our goal is for Delos to function as a source of inspiration for contemporary artists, as well as a hospitality venue for contemporary artistic creation. In our search for new synapses between Delos and the modern audience, we had arranged this major exhibition you saw in a video, in which modern sculptures offered the visitor a new perspective on Delian monuments and landscape. The second field with which we want to reconnect Delos with the contemporary world is that of science and technology. Delos as a reception and promotion site of 21st century science and as a place of inspiration, given that the growth of the sciences was one of ancient Greek civilization's most important contributions to humanity. The World Human Forum, in collaboration with the F48, proposed that we will design together a new institution that will seek in Delos' ancient past solutions to the problems of today, such as the proper use of technology, climate change impact, our future on Earth. Inspired by the Delos Symposia, the pioneering initiative of Konstantinos Doxiadis in the 1960s, when issues concerning acoustics were discussed at international scientific forums on the island of Apollo, who had long concluded that Delos needs a modern institution of this type to act as an active channel of communication with the modern world. Alpha Mission Delos appears to be able to evolve into what we planned, a modern forum bridge linking antiquity and the 21st century. In short, today Delos is a laboratory where we can test new tools aimed at a holistic approach to the role of our ancient heritage in the 21st century. Thank you very much.
The next panel member, even if virtually, is Efi Spirou, who is an artist and creator of the Metamorphosis art that has been transferred here, born in Cyprus and living and working in various cities in Europe, America, and Asia. And she is a co-founder of the Runon Art, a non-profit organization aspiring to support the production of contemporary Greek and Cypriot artists to eventually actively participate in the joint formulation of a different creative and social milieu. We'll show a video message that Effie has sent us next to her piece of art. Please, the video.
I'm overwhelmed with gratitude having invited to present my artwork in this amazing event. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and I'm really sorry I wasn't able to be with you today. I think that the greatest gift was given me is to use my voice to shine some light in the darkness of our times. And how can there be light after dark? And how can there be light again after dark? The art piece Metamorphosis is a poetic metaphor of life's constant flow, from the light of birth to the impossibility of existence, and from there to the promise of rebirth. Light has been a life-giving force ever since antiquity. On the ancient island of Delos, and in so many civilizations that ensued, light's natural and figurative energy fires up creativity, exchange, extroversion, and it mobilizes the dynamics of transfiguration of ideas and their achievements into diachronic symbolisms. In my work, I use cylindrical fluorescent lamps. Now they are empty shells, while they used to emit the electric light of the technologically developed world. My interest centers around the manner in which the light of reuse and creation will move them from inertia back to life. Using my hands, I start building a grid, forming with manual waving a composition made of saturated lamps and light yellow straps. The serial development of the parts of this installation reveals a pattern gradually bringing darkness into light, these two elements constantly alternating. The disposition seems to form thresholds between the outside and the inside, the active and the inactive. The panels retain a poetic structure, aiming at the literal transfiguration of the materials into an object with a new materiality back into the light.
And now I'll present our two other panelists, and then we can start with some questions. It's a great pleasure to have Shireen Atassi here, who is the director of the Atassi Foundation. Syrian-born businesswoman, Shireen stepped away from a career in banking to launch a non-profit foundation, Atassi Foundation, in Dubai, promoting Syrian artwork and artists. And there is a monumental exhibition that that the foundation did, Syria into the Light. It was held in 2017 in Dubai, and shed light into Syrian collective memory. Thank you for having you here. And let me present both panelists, and then we can start the questions. And then it's a great pleasure to also to have Ali Bouziri here, an architect and master planner. He has been in the Middle East since 2006 as a master planner of large-scale projects at a time of sustained urban growth. And previously, he has practiced architecture and urban design in France, the USA, Japan, Malaysia, and North Africa as citizen of the world. Welcome to both of you. So, Najum, questions.
Thank you so much, Professor Yanis. Today my luck wasn't better than His Excellency Sefer Bash's luck with the notes. I lost all of my notes, so I was depending on Professor to introduce all the panelists. And I'm going to catch up with the notes that remained here. First of all, Dimitris, you presented Delos as an archaeological site. And coming from an art background, seeing modern art, modern sculpture in an archaeological, historical site was kind of another narrative. So, how did you come up with this choice? And I know it was a collaboration with another organization, but how the public perceive this experience, this new experience?
Yes. Yes, we tried to create another narrative for the public. It was our choice to bring modern art in Delos, but the curation of the exhibition, of course, it was not by us, but by the Neon organization. We asked what we want and what we're trying to do there, and I think that it was very successful, given that the public was excited, as we can know, and even the visitors, the number of visitors was augmented during this exhibition.
Would you consider rebuilding Delos as a VR experience, as a VR project for the public, so they can enjoy the beauty, the old beauty of the city?
Yeah, in fact, I didn't mention Delos, the Delos project already comprises the use of advanced digital technology, such as virtual and augmented reality. And in fact, we expand the fields of investigation of cultural heritage by the wider public in multiple ways. We are developing now in Delos a new digital tool, we call it Archeorama, which will facilitate not only the 3D documentation of an archaeological research excavation, but will also provide real-time graduated internet access to the archaeological process. However, we do not underestimate the value of unmediated relationship between the visitor and the monument, which is strengthened by this actual project of restoration and anastylosis.
Shireen, you are a custodian of art, coming from a family that has been dealing with art and the presentation of art to public. Do you think galleries and museums should use modern technological tools or solutions such as VR, digital art to introduce or to present the antiquities and artifacts for the public?
Najum, when you gave me this question earlier, I told you this was very close to my heart, because it is actually in the center of everything we do. I think as people, as humans, we can't run away from the fact that technology is here and we need to tame it to our needs and our purposes. Technology in the art and culture has been very important, not only in terms of producing art like NFTs or accessing arts like Google Arts and Culture as a platform, websites, virtual reality shows and what have you, but it has been incredibly important, especially in my home country, in terms of preserving heritage. And I think we're sitting here, and it's funny that we're talking about it here, because it was actually in 2016, from what I remember, or 2017, the Museum of the Future of Dubai, before it was being built, along with the University of Oxford and Harvard, from what I remember, set up something called the Institute of Digital Archaeology. And this was at a time when Palmyra was totally destroyed by ISIS during the war. And what they did is they used technology to map it on a 3D level. The Arc of Triumph of Palmyra, which was witness to a very bustling, powerful city that was, again, a center of commerce and culture, was then transported to be viewed in Trafalgar Square, and I think somewhere in New York, I can't remember. But yes, we do need to use it, but we do need to use it as you said, as we said earlier, in a way that kind of meets our needs. So when it comes to NFTs, I can't do much. I don't understand them. But yeah.
And how do you see the future of presenting physical art in the galleries and the usage of the advancement of technology?
Presenting art is very tricky because we really need to have the audience in mind. The audience of the future is the young generation who's really built to, or who's grown up to become very visually stimulated because of all the apps and the solutions and what have you. But I really think we do need to use storytelling. We need to go and build knowledge about our heritage as humans, not only as individual nations, but this belongs to humanity, from what I strongly believe. And we really need to be using all of these to create that. So there was a company, a French company called Econem, something of the sort, who created a VR view, bird's-eye view of Palmyra. They are doing a lot of work on the old part of Aleppo as well. So I'm sorry, I do keep going back to my country because I'm aware of the initiatives that take place there. But yeah, we need to build that storytelling, that knowledge creation into whatever technology we use for future generations to know. You know, as we said, it was said earlier many times, we need to know the past, create, identify our present and create our future.
And going to architecture and the usage of different materials, my question is, from your perspective, how does the choice of materials, especially lead, help bringing another perspective to current architectural designs, and what was your reason behind choosing such materials?
I'm intrigued by the question itself, because it points to a particular metal, which is lead. Now, lead, of course, is used extensively in antiquity because it's a malleable material and it has been used in plumbing, as you know. But of course, as a result of that, the people who drank from that water were eventually poisoned, and we understand now, after all these years, the nauseousness of these materials, and we are much more careful about it. Still, in construction, it is used as a complementary element. Now, when we go back to Mykonos, what is striking is the use of stone, and stone is the permanent materials that kind of travel over time and give us all these beautiful ruins in Palmyra and in Greece. In my own country, in Tunisia also, we do have that. And again, those are places of tourism, but also as a testimony of civilizations were part of the land. When this symposium was presented to me, I was quite intrigued to go beyond the materials that are remaining and the traces of the life, and then try to make a little bit of the parallel with nowadays, use materials in modern times. And as you know, Dubai is an exploding city. I have been lucky to be here since 2006, and I have witnessed this extraordinary growth and the relationship to nature. And Minister has talked a little bit about the relationship to our human nature to light, and as much as in Greece it is a welcome and a celebration of knowledge, and it is here much harsher, and we have to know how to shelter and then shade ourselves from it. So going back to your question, use of material, we architects, master planners, we are challenged to use the most suitable materials to do whatever we need in order to kind of answer the most express needs of our client, but also now to be more in tune with the sustainability discourse of giving in legacy a better planet to our children. And it is very much an issue now of choice that is just more linked to the present but also the future. How does a choice of materials kind of preserve the planet in order to still be a place of hospitable life for the next generation?
I'm receiving, a note that we are running out of time. Another question I want to ask: how do you see the future of today's architectural design? And do you think modern spaces and materials will withstand the test of time? I mean, modern cities are going to be old cities in the future. And is it going to be something, taking into consideration the example of Delos?
Delos gives us the example of a city that has known its golden age, and it has eventually died down, and it has been unearthed, actually, because it has disappeared completely from the earth. So it is reborn in a way, in a ruined forms. Now, the challenges of today's cities that are vying for visibility, competing with each other in order to attract talents and attract wealth, provide prosperity to its population. Now, it's this idea of being here in the present, now, and in the most possible, in the most attractive way. Now, will they survive? Of course, there will be traces of them. We are nowadays 8 billion people, and we are producing a habitat for all occupants. So, of course, some of it will remain, and it is part of this life and death of cities that we will see in the future how it materializes.
Let's thank all panelists for these short interventions. Thank you very much for your insightful comments and questions.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you so much.
For the last, but may I say most important session, I would like to invite Mrs. Alexandra Mitsotakis, President of the World Human Forum, to give us her point of view on the future, a brighter future. Ms. Mitsotakis is a Greek activist, co-founder and president of the World Human Forum, and in 2019 she launched the Convergences Greek Forum. She founded ActionAid Hellas in 1998 and served as its chair until 2017. Ms. Mitsotakis, please.
I'm not going to. Just the first. Okay, thank you very much for having me. And I know I'm closing, so this is a little bit tricky because time is running out. So I've decided not really to use my PowerPoint either. I will speak to you and tell you a little bit the story of Alpha Mission Delos and how it came about. Actually, it came about when we realized that NASA was doing it again. What was NASA doing again? Using the name of a Greek god, Apollo, now Artemis, to go to the moon. They did it back in the 60s. I don't think anybody back then really made the connection between this amazing technological achievement and the Greek god of music and light. But today, it is Artemis. Artemis was Apollo's sister, his twin sister, and they were born together on Delos. Their mother couldn't find a place to give birth, and she found shelter on Delos. Doing what? She asked Delos to come out of the water so that she could give birth to her children, find shelter for them. This is what happened. And then she got a promise that if you allow me to give birth to my children, my son Apollo will make you, Delos, the most shiny part of the world, the brightest star on earth. Here maybe I will use, this is Pindaros, the lyric poet, 5th century BC, who says that Delos is the brightest star on earth that gods can see from the sky. So who is going to the sky? Who is going to the moon? NASA. Using what? Using the name of Apollo first and now the name of Artemis. And I think it's our role to remind the world that we don't go only to the moon because of technology and science. We also go to the moon because of culture, art, spirituality. And this duality that we can see in Apollo and Artemis, we can see it in the sun and the moon, we can see it in the yin and the yang, we can see it everywhere. This is what we need, this balance, this harmony of things that we think are opposed, culture and nature, technology and humanities. And this is what we need if we want to be able to address the challenges of our time. Because this is what Alpha Mission actually is all about. The idea is that Delos came out of the sea to give birth, as we said, for Leto, the mother of Apollo and Artemis. But what is happening today in Delos? We didn't really speak about this. What is happening is that the sea is already rising. And Dimitris Athanasoulis could have shown you some photographs where you see the sea rising and reaching the columns, the ruins already. And if this continues, if climate change is not addressed, then Delos will become Adelos again, which means that it will go again under the sea, and we will even lose the ruins. This is why we called it Alpha Mission Delos. Alpha stands for Apollo. Alpha stands for Artemis. Alpha stands also for art. But Alpha stands also for something that we believe is important. It stands for the importance to remember ancestral intelligence at the time of artificial intelligence. We speak a lot about artificial intelligence. We need it. But we should remember that we also need ancestral intelligence. And ancestral intelligence is not just what we did in Greece or in the Arab world or in the Egyptian world or in China or in India. It's also what indigenous people know today, what they teach us about their our relationship to nature. We need to rethink all that. We need to go back to bring people together, to create this type of dialogues. This is what we plan to do in Delos with Alpha Mission Delos. This is what I hope we will do together with the municipality of Mykonos. This is what I hope we will do with our multidisciplinary partners. We are already working with the Greek Space Center. I know that here in the United Emirates, you have a very interesting space project with a beautiful name of Hope. Hope is important here. We need hope, and I don't think the hope is, I know you're interested in Mars, but I don't think the hope is to go and live on Mars. I mean, I know that Elon Musk is saying that, but that doesn't really inspire many people. It wouldn't make much sense. I think hope comes from protecting the planet, and we need the space industry to protect the planet because they have an amazing technological capacity that can help us understand what's going on planet Earth. It's not only time for moonshots, it's also time for Earth shots. And this is what we should remember. So yes, we need the space industry for their technological capacity, but we need them also for something else. We need them for something that I learned recently, but it impressed me very much when we started the World Human Forum. We learned about something that is called the overview effect. May I ask who between you knows about what the overview effect is? Well, you don't. I understand. I didn't know it either. So the overview effect is something astronauts experience when they are up in the sky. When they see the Earth from far, far above, they say, oh, is this beautiful, fragile ball of life our common space, Earth? Then I don't see any borders anymore. I don't see all those divisions that we have. Where are they? All we can see in this big black cosmos is a small, fragile ball of life, and we need to protect it. And they have this sense of wanting to protect the Earth. And this is, I think, what space industry can also teach us, because it will bring us together as humanity. And we need to come together as humanity if we want to address the huge challenges of our time. So this is what we plan to do with Alpha Mission Delos. What I'm saying to you today is a pre-launch. Actually, we are planning to launch it as soon as Artemis, the NASA project, will send their first rocket to the moon, the Artemis rocket. This will happen. It was supposed to happen in February. They are running late, so we're not only running late in Greece and in the Arab world. America is running late, so they will send it probably in March, maybe in April. When it happens, please watch out for Alpha Mission Delos in Athens. If you want to join us there, you can come. We will show videos. We will speak about the project in a much more elaborate way. But remember only one thing, and I hope that Eleftheria Deco might help us. If Delos is to be the brightest spot on the Earth, and that gods can see it from the sky, then maybe when the first woman astronaut is going to walk on the moon in 2025 or 2026, maybe we should illuminate Delos in a way that she can see it from the moon. And maybe the woman astronaut can look towards Cape Canaveral and thank science and technology for bringing her up there. But she should also look down to Delos and thank the art, humanities, and spirituality for having brought her up there too. So if we succeed that, then we will have succeed with Alpha Mission Delos, but we need you all to make this a success. So thank you very much for giving me the space to share this with you today, and just look for what's coming. It's going to be continued. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the Alpha Mission. I hope that everybody is going to be there. So thank you very much for this great event. And I'd like to have all the speakers to be on the floor to have a family photo, please.